live. Live now? All right, perfect. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Don't Be Mad podcast. Another weekly dose of us talking bullshit.
Well, Jason talking bullshit.
Well, that's true. And Jamali just like denying everything and scared of everything. Welcome. It's another Fast and Loose stream. No, we won't be Fast and Loose. It's the middle of the week, everyone. I know. So I just want to give an update to everyone really quick. We're going to start recording on Tuesdays from now on. So the live show will always be on Tuesdays. The episodes you'll probably get a little later on in the week. Most likely Wednesday, Thursday. So, Jamali, how you been, man? How's your
mental health?
Your mental health going?
Oh man, I'm sane. I'm glad. Alive and sane.
Alive and sane?
I mean, it's been a rough part. Well, we haven't recorded last Friday, so it's been a rough. I mean, it's a good week last week. A good start to this productive week.
It's funny when we always take that little week off. Always the craziness happens.
It's not that it's craziness. It's just that also too you get time to like reflect, right?
That's true. We get to formalize our thoughts so we can say what we want to say.
This guy.
No, it's true.
But it was a good week. I mean, I can't complain. I mean, it could have been a lot worse, I guess, in hindsight.
Yeah.
So
that's good, man. That's good. That's good. Myself, another day, just trying to work, save money, trying to move out.
Trying to be adulting over here, finally.
I've always been an adult. I'm the most responsible person here.
I wouldn't go as far as saying that.
Yes,
but
I would. I don't get into trouble for nothing. I don't speculate over everything. I'm not scared of anything because I know I'm not to be like, you're afraid of everything, so I'm not scared.
I'm not afraid of everything.
Okay, you're cautious of everything.
I'm cautious, and I think
there you go.
And there's nothing wrong with being cautious.
There you go. Well, I'm saying is that no, but I'm fine though. Nothing new on my end. Matt's not here today. He's in the chat.
He's in our live stream.
He is in the live stream. So if you want to say hi to him, say hi. He will respond to you with some tomfoolery.
You will be generating conversation, actively involved, Matthew.
Let's hope. We'll check in from time to time. All right, Jamali. So another week. What do you want to talk about? What other craziness has come from America land? That we can talk
the land of Trump. Call 45.
Oh man.
45 special.
Yeah, man. So I guess what we can talk about is the recent shootings in Ohio and
Texas.
Yes, Texas. Man. Yeah, these people are crazy.
Well, it is kind of nuts to think that, people could be so hateful or so, cruel to just want to slaughter people who haven't really impacted negatively your life, who hasn't caused you any pain or suffering. And it's crazy. It's really, really sad. Like to see us as human, we're supposed to be evolving, and I feel like we're regressing to a fear-based life. You know what I mean? Like,
well, you in a way that kind of makes sense. I'm not sure how it is in Canada. You see certain aspects of it, but in the States, you really do see it. For example, for just a recap, everyone knows by now that they had the shooting in Ohio and Texas.
Right.
And the gunman, who was the one that was killed? The one in Texas or the one in Ohio?
Dayton.
And the one in Dayton, Ohio? Okay,
yeah.
The one he was killed. The one in Texas, I think he's the craziest one out of the two. And I'll explain my reasons why.
I don't, first of all, before you continue.
Okay.
I don't like the word crazy.
Okay, deranged.
I don't like none of those fucking words. The word is hateful. Because it's either hateful. I mean, I don't like the fact that and again, this is probably my personal bias.
Okay.
I feel like if this was to be done, if this act was committed in or done by the Hispanic community or Hispanic individual, a black individual in a black community, Arab, Muslim, even Italian community, they would have different words for them. And, if it's in a black community, it's, gangsterism or thug life, same thing in Italian.
I think I'm not talking like crazy as someone like he needs mental help or something like that. I'm not saying that type of crazy. I'm saying crazy as in you need to be, your feet need to be eaten up by sharks and stuff. You need to die in the worst possible way, buried under the prison, raped in jail. That kind of crazy.
I think that's a bit extreme to be raped
what
and
he,
jailed.
what he did was extreme. That's the thing. And this is why I was talking about the Texas person in general.
Mm-hmm.
This person from Texas drove 600 and something miles.
7 hours.
7 hours.
Yeah.
To go
To the closest border
to
town.
the closest border town to stop Mexicans from coming across the border. So he just started a shooting spree. That's crazy. And supposedly he's a Trump
Supporter.
He's a Trump supporter and everything like that. And I'm like, the states have a lot of problems, and every time it comes to gun violence or anything like that, they're always passing it along to other people. And like, for example, they said, you have to blame video games because video games are the problem. I'm like, really? Like, how is video games a problem? I've never seen anyone play God of War and start pretending to be Kratos and start ripping out people's heads off with their bare hands and knuckles and stuff. I've never seen anything like this. And they blame games like Call of Duty, Battlefield, all these kind of shooting games. I'm like, people have a lot more sense than that. And I don't think people understand that when you have a person like Trump, who is in a leadership role, his words resonate with these deranged and crazy people. Like, when you're talking crazy people are going to hear you.
Okay.
And crazy people are going to do things.
Okay.
So, and the thing is, when it comes to gun control, we know who these crazy people with the guns are. It's just that the people are not willing to do anything about it. So until it affects them.
I'll challenge your statement by saying that there were equal amounts of shooting during the Obama administration.
I don't deny that, but my reason still stands the same.
But no, your reason, not that your reason, but I think the grand scheme of it, I feel like when people, like, that's the thing too, like, nowadays, it's easy to deflect shit when it's a societal issue, to be like, oh, he was a Trump supporter. And then it evades or it makes everything about Trump. And it's not about Trump, because I think irregardless of who was in power, as I said before, you know, this is another administrative problem. Trump didn't get into the White House and start handing out assault rifles to people with mental issues or hateful minds, right? Could his words spark some of these problems? Yes. I'm not saying he's not a catalyst, but he's not the sole catalyst. I think one of the biggest things I find is, one, these guys, oftentimes you fucking hear, oh, well, we went and we scoured and we found this about this person, and we find posts from X amount of months before, or these people were on watch lists, like the guy from Sandy Hook, he was on a FBI watch list. And for whatever reason, these people are not stopped, right? Does race play a role? Probably. There's, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's this guy in, I want to say Alabama, who started what the FBI labeled to be the new Black Panther Party.
Okay.
And they raided his fucking house. He hasn't shoot anybody, right? But he's a black guy with what they would claim to be a radical mindset. And that was alerting enough for them to say, you know what, this is something that needs to be addressed.
Well, I think you and I are talking the same thing. I think we're just expressing it different ways.
Absolutely. I think it's synonymous.
And we're
semantics, rather.
And the thing is, with when you see stuff, for example, like the Black Panther Party, he didn't do anything.
Right.
He just started a new party.
And he just wrote a book about it.
And he wrote a book about it, and they just raided him.
Right.
I think the problem is that the people in power, like, for example, let's say the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan, they're the ones that are everyday. They have on their hoods and shit. You don't know who they are, but these are your doctors, your lawyers,
your judges,
mayors, your judge, and all this kind of stuff. And the reason why nothing's acted upon these people, because we know who they are, or I assume police and everything, but police could be them too. They just don't want to act because they hold the power.
It's not even just about power.
And the thing is, but going back to the gun thing though, yes, Trump is not, regardless of whoever is in the White House, the shooting could not have happened, whatever like that. However, Trump is not the fire. He's just the oil. He's just pouring more oil on the fire, making
I think
it worse.
also, to be fair to Trump, he's also a scapegoat. And I feel like that's the problem we have nowadays, because people in society, in our generation at least, or who are adults and alive now, always look for something to blame, and it's Trump, right? Like, a lot of people get mad at me when I say, well, Obama wasn't the greatest president that black people rave about. There was more killings in Chicago under his administration than any other president. There've been more black people, unarmed black men killed by police under his administration, excluding, the civil rights era. And yet we praise this guy. Well, not we. People praise him for this great administrative work he does. Now, is it the president's fault these things are going on? No. Like, Obama can't be blamed for black people getting killed, slaughtered at the hands of police, law enforcement.
Yeah.
I'm not going to blame him for that. I think it's also unfair and it's dismissive to just say, oh, well, he wrote Donald Trump's name in his manifesto, and therefore, because he's a Trump supporter, is the reason why he has this hateful mind. And I think the problem is deeper than just who's in president, who's sitting in that chair. I think the problem is societal. We were raised, and even in black households, I know we were raised similarly, where, they're like, oh, well, as a black man, you need to carry yourself a certain way so you don't attract the wrong attention.
Yeah.
And I think in some ways, we as black people grew up in this fear-based mind, like, the police is after us. We're always on edge. And I'm sure for white kids, I can't speak, I'm not white, I've never been white. I'm sure there's a concept of, not like there's, liberty to do what you want, but they need to have some sort of strong punishment for these guys, and not punishment where it's publicized. Because I think a lot, like even like the guy who shot up Charleston, Mr. Cook there, what is his name? Cook?
I know who you're talking about.
Dylan Roof, sorry.
Yeah.
Like, he needs to, like, these type of punishment, there should be no publicity about it. Society shouldn't react to it in the way we do, because that's what these guys, the energy they want. They want that attention. Don't give it to them. Bring them in a room. Let them get judged. Put them in a fucking asylum far, far away from civilization. Have zero to very few interaction with humans. Let them live the rest of their life that way. I think the idea that, like Trump is getting blamed, is he inciting violence? We could argue.
For sure.
We could argue that he could incite violence.
He is. It's a fact. You don't say, I could shoot people in the middle of the street and get away with it. And people are doing exactly what you say you're doing.
But people have been doing that before he said that.
Yeah, but people, are they doing it to this degree with his name behind it? That's what I'm trying to say. His name is behind this stuff. When have you said, whenever you ever heard someone say, I'm killing all these people because Obama said this and that? We haven't heard that.
And again, that's a scapegoat, though.
But it's not a scapegoat. It's facts, though. We don't hear people say, Obama said this, so this is why I'm killing these people. No, you hear from these people who are killing people, Trump said the Mexicans are coming to invade, so you know what? I went and took action to my own hands.
Right, but it's also a known fact that before Trump, a lot of these people who did these heinous crimes, they were neo-Nazis and they were worshipper of Hitler. Hitler's dead, or at least assumed to be dead.
Dead.
Right?
He's dead.
I can't speak of it. I wasn't at his funeral.
How old would he be if he was alive?
Probably in his 90s. I don't know, bro.
90s?
Well, World War II happened in 39. So he
was well into his 40s or 50s.
Well, he's probably dead. Whatever the case may be. That's not neither here nor there.
There you go. He's
right.
Dead.
But I'm just saying, people reverted back to the Hitler mindset.
Okay.
That these are these type of people, these Nazi mentality.
Yes.
So Donald Trump is just the newest thing, right? Like he's new and he's ignorant and he's easily to be blamed. The problem is blaming Donald Trump is not going to find a resolution to these type of issues.
I'm not saying blaming him is going to be a resolution to the issues, but I'm just saying
he's not the root cause of it.
No, not at all, for sure, because people are who they are. They
and people have been doing this before him.
That's the thing. But not getting rid of, but silencing him or getting him out of the way is a start to easing some of this stuff out, because you can't stop gun violence. You can't stop hate crime. You can't stop racism in one day by just saying, Donald Trump, you're out of office. This is not going to happen again.
Right.
That's not going to happen.
Right.
But you can start somewhere. And
I don't think Donald Trump is the way to start. I think the way to start is through education.
Yes, but the person with the highest platform, and right now, because like you said, social media is everything. He's the king of social media right now on Twitter. The thing you need to get him out of that platform where people like in their early teens, like 13 to 20, can actually go on Twitter and say, oh, what is Donald Trump saying? Oh, he's saying this. Oh, I kind of agree with what he's saying. Yeah, MAGA, all this shit. No, this is the new day and age. Okay. I understand where you're getting at, where you have to educate people, but it's not about reading books anymore, Jamal. It's about Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And this is stuff that unfortunately, he knows how to utilize a lot. You need to get Trump off of that. You need to get him off all social media platforms. Don't give him media coverage, and you're going to.
So let me ask you a question, because
he was on TV. Imagine this: he had a reality TV show, a very successful reality TV show, and he wasn't generating this stuff. And this was pre-Twitter, pre-Instagram. And you know what?
And this is why I'm saying it's an easy way out for society to not take its own responsibility and throw it on the back of Donald Trump. So when Donald Trump gets out of office and these type of situations happen, are we still going to blame him for inciting these things? And I think if he's not the root cause, we shouldn't be focusing on him. We need to focus on the root cause of this issue. And the issue, I think, it comes down to, again, education. One, I think it comes down to the privilege mindset. Two, so it's more serious punishment for when people do shit like this. And again, it's a whole change of structure. The whole system is functioning the way it's supposed to, because I do believe the system is to create chaos. And therefore,
I understand what you mean.
But my question to you that I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
You know, we spoke before on Farrakhan. We spoke on Riza Islam, I think is his name, or it's pronounced. Like, these guys are radicalists, or people see them as radicalists, but you don't see a group of black Muslims or people who claim to be Nation of Islam picking up guns and going out and being radical in that sense. I don't think Donald Trump has the level of influence that society wants you to believe. I do not believe it at all.
Why don't you believe it?
Because it's been happening before him. He says ignorant shit, but I don't think he has that. I think we're over-crediting the power he possesses.
We're not over-crediting, but we're just saying we're not saying he's causing violence. We're saying he's inciting, he's putting unnecessary oil on a fire that's already lit. Like, he's putting, like, the forest is on fire.
Right.
He's putting more gasoline on the fire. That's who he is.
That's debatable.
That's not debatable. It's true.
Right. But why? Because he says shit. So Obama's silence we should also look at his silence towards black men being slaughtered. Because if you remember clearly, when Trayvon got killed, he made that statement the first night of the protest. And when he's like, Trayvon could have been my son, Trayvon could have been me. And then the media gave him so much heat for it, he never mentioned that word again. Or even that idea. He never spoke of that idea again. Okay. Right? His silence and the lack of punishment thereafter, because remember, Trayvon happened, then we'll speak on it later, but not Freddie Gray. Freddie Gray was even worse, but we had Eric Gardner, where they could have intervened and literally put the book down on that police. From the time the chief of police said, listen, he used an illegal chokehold, and the DOJ could have done something about it. Mm-hmm. They did nothing. Eric Holder was the DOJ, another black man.
But you know who said something about it?
Who?
The mayor of New York, who was there.
Which one?
De Blasio.
He wasn't there when Eric Gardner got choked out.
Yes, in New York.
It was the blind guy. It was what was
No, that's when it was de Blasio, and all the police officers, when he denounced it, all the police officers turned their back on him when he was walking down the road and stuff like that, because he called out the police officer.
And then what did he do since? It took for that whole thing to happen 2 weeks ago, but for him to punish the guy.
But he is not the courts. You have to understand that.
No. the way the structure works is that he has a same power. The person who has the ultimate power is the chief of police.
Yes.
And they keep passing the buck. But if he wants, he could put pressure on the chief of police.
He would have to fire the chief of police, and then that's going to cause him even more bigger chaos.
But again, it would again, the same way he doesn't fire the chief of police, incite the continuous abuse of police using their power.
Okay, but are you gonna put that crime on the police officer who choked that, or are you gonna put it on the police commissioner now? Because
on the commissioner, because again, it's if you can't put if you're gonna put the blame on the police, then put the blame on the shooter. But if you're gonna blame the person who is an authority figure, then you put the same thing gotta go both ways, bro.
I think you put it on the person who did the choking out. Like I said, with police officers.
No, but again, these who reprimands is not he reprimands himself. No, he doesn't. He doesn't reprimand himself. The guy who choked out Eric Garner.
They have arbitration. They have all that stuff. They have to go to court for all that stuff.
Again, you put pressure. If one person does something and there's no ramification, there's no punishment, it incites other police officers to act crazy. Just like you had the guy in Atlanta who pulled over that woman and didn't know his body cam was running. And then she was like, why are you acting like this? And the woman replied to him like, police, these days they're trigger happy. And he's like, you have nothing to worry about. We're only killing black men. He said that out. And that was, but again, the lack of police and the lack of action, if you're going to blame Trump for inciting these things, the lack of these police officers getting punished by the chief of police in their respective areas is also an inciting violence towards black men. If we could argue the same thing, it goes both ways.
It's in a right, you make a certain point. However, I would just caution you to think, because if you start firing people who have no direct, like again, you didn't hear the police chief say, "Oh, go out and choke this black man." You were okay with it. It's his department. It's his department, and it's a New York thing. It's a ban to do. You can't do that.
Right.
You can't do that. Right. And they went through a process. I don't know whatever the process. I'm not.
But the police commissioner. But I'm telling you, the police commissioner have not the right to veto any decision, but he has the right to recommend shit.
He could recommend shit. Probably that's what happened.
No, he never did.
I don't know what happened recently.
It would have been on record had he submitted recommendations.
Because he's suspended, right?
He's only suspended now after my son and a group of black activists who's been at the helm of Eric Garner's case, and they've even picked up more since the daughter passed away, and they went to the Democratic debate that they had. Yeah. And while he was speaking, because he's a presidential candidate, he was running to become president, one of them yelled out like fire whatever the guy's name is. And then that whole thing created a slew of other people who were actively, other candidates start questioning him like, well, if you were running you were the mayor of New York, and this case been going on for 5 years, and look what you did. They start using it against him, and then his comeback to those. We'll see the decision was made within the next 30 days. 3 days later, after that debate, is when he announced that the guy was suspended. My case in point is if a civilian went and shot somebody with an unregistered gun, he will be in jail.
Yeah.
And if a police officer, by the omission of the commissioner of police saying he used an illegal chokehold, he should have punishment. There should not be a dispute as to, he needs to go through a proper procedure and this person. That's what I'm saying.
Well, no, I understand what you're saying, and I get it. And I think you're right. That's a major problem in police forces across North America in general. I don't disagree with anything you're saying in regards to that. However, there's one thing that, and especially this is for New York. New York, again, biggest police force in the world, meaning biggest police union in the world. And this is a problem that we have in companies in Quebec as well too, and stuff like that. When it's very hard, and I'm not saying it's an excuse.
Okay.
I'm saying like de Blasio, he should have put pressure on him from the beginning. If he didn't do it, that's his fault. That's on him. He has to live with that. But that's his problem. Well, what I'm saying is that let's say, for example, he was to fire the commissioner of police, then imagine if the police officers started striking because of it. Because they have a certain attitude. They have an attitude towards them.
I agree. But remember my statement, the reason why I brought this up was the fact that you're saying Trump's word incite these guys to go out and do these things. And again, what I'm saying to you, the other side is true. Police commissioners who don't speak out and don't take appropriate action, in their silence and Obama's silence incite the continuation of black people getting shot.
Violence continues if they don't say anything. Yes,
right. So that's the whole point. So we can't outright say, oh, well, Trump is to be blamed for all of this. And then
I'm not saying
Obama's
he's blamed for all that. I say he's a
oil,
catalyst. He's a catalyst to it. And same thing with the police commissioner. Same thing with Obama.
But I don't see no one going at, oh well, it's Obama's fault or it's the police commissioner's fault why these violence continuously happen.
You're not a big social media person, but there is a thing that says, well, blame Obama or it's Obama's fault. That's been going on for like the longest time, Jamal, since he was in office.
Not at the degree as to where what I'm saying is overall, I think we need to shun away from saying, oh, even the guy in New Zealand, he mentioned Trump in a fucking 20-page, he mentioned Trump once or twice in a 26-page manifesto. Okay. And then all of a sudden he's a Trump supporter. Like that shit to me is the way we lose track of finding a solution.
But why would you mention Trump in the first place if you're not a supporter?
He also mentioned that black lady, I forgot her name now, in it, and she never got blamed for it. Trump is a fucking scapegoat. And the more we feed into that type of narrative of blaming Trump, we lose sight of the bigger picture. We are not born racist. We're not born hateful.
Yeah.
These are behavior that are learned. And these behavior need to be unlearned. And Trump is not the one who is the catalyst of anything like this. Society is to be blamed for it.
Yeah, but then you can't deny that the person with the biggest platform, the biggest media reach, the biggest thing, like people are going to his rallies for him to listen to what he has to say. And they're saying like, only in the Panhandle could you kill someone or something like that, and, or whatever it was, something like that, or you shoot him or whatever. And everyone was clapping and stuff like that. I'm like, I understand Trump he's not the cause of it. Trust me, because this has been around forever.
Right.
But when you have someone who has the loudest voice, the loudest media power, the largest reach in the world, he has the largest audience, which is the world, American president, the biggest power in the world. That's something you need to stop right away. And as I guarantee you, as soon as you cut off something like that, who do you think these people are gonna go to now? Because we see with Republicans and stuff like that. If they were to say anything like Trump said, Trump doesn't care about anyone but himself.
What you're missing out on is, like, we could have gone and said the same thing that George Bush incited violence in the Middle East, right? We don't see that, right? Okay. Like when it's in your face, we find the first thing what I'm saying is, long story short, irregardless of who was the president, this shit still occurs. They're not going to change. They're not going to, we have to be more mindful of education and be real. Like, there's people out there who are mentally sick, who needs support, who needs to be looked at. Mm-hmm. And again, it's a systematic issue. It's not Trump. It's not going to be Obama. It's overall the system needs to be changed. I personally believe the system is functioning the way they want, because in chaos, there's no church in the wild, so everything runs free, and people who are going to be opportunists for these type of situation are the ones who are the one reaping the benefit of people's fear, all these different shit. And I don't think Trump, the KKK existed before Trump. A lot of hate groups existed before Trump. Yes, he says ignorant shit, but we always had people who said ignorant shit.
We've had people say ignorant shit, but not with the platform. And this is what I'm telling you, and we have to understand that social media is a big thing this day and age. I understand where you're coming from.
Right.
You're talking of a time like 2000, year 2000. This is not 2000, my friend. This is almost year 2020.
So you think social media has that much of an impact?
Because you're not on it enough.
I'm on social media, bro.
You're on it, but do you use it to that degree?
The KKK existed before social media. Hate existed before social media. Has social media amplified the ability to spread hate? Possibly.
Yes,
but it's also
possibly when it's true.
But it also amplified the ability to spread love and all these things. My thing is, the root cause is where we need to go to. You don't put out a fire by just attacking areas that are burning. You go to the source and you put it out there.
You put out
and
everything. Everything.
Yes, but you could put out as much burning areas around it. If the root of the fire is not attended to, it will still burn. That's all I'm saying. Trump is not the root cause of the hate that we see in America.
I'm not saying that.
And therefore, and that's why my point is, the media is putting so much attention on Trump, being there as president, that we're not looking at the root cause. The root cause is, and it's very simple. There's tests you could look at, there's videos that's been done. There's 6-year-olds, when they show them pictures of the same a child but in different hue, and they would say, "Oh, the black one's the mean one, the white one's the nicest." You see it's programming. That's what is getting these people to do shit like this.
Okay,
it's society programming. Trump has nothing to. It could have been Mother Teresa who was the president of the United States. It would still happen if the cause of it needs to be addressed, and that's how people view people, how we speak about other people in public, and so forth. That's all I'm saying. I don't think we should feed into the narrative that Trump has this much of a role. I think we're over glamorizing it.
I think anyone who has the largest platform in the world has a big part in it. Not the root of it, but he has a big part of it. And it's like, I understand where you're coming from, where you're saying Trump is not the root of it, but you have the world media. And that's what you're thinking of it as a minuscule American thing. No, this dude is the president of the United States. I think a lot of people forget this. And he has the largest reach in the world. The largest reach in the world. And if you have all this coverage on you all the time, 24/7, because that's what we run on, 24/7 news cycle right now.
Right.
And you have a dedicated news network, Fox News, that even pushes that even further.
Right.
Like, of course, stuff like this is going to happen. This is why when stuff like
this...
So
how do we explain, because this happened way before Trump, the Atlanta bombing? Who do we blame for the Atlanta bombing?
The Atlanta bombing?
Yeah.
You could blame the person who did the bombing.
But that's my point. So we don't blame the president then, right? We blame the president now. So it's like, that's my point.
Wait, the Atlanta bombing or the Oklahoma City bombing?
The Oklahoma City bombing, sorry.
Well, did he blow it up because
it was all hate? Okay,
but did he do it in the name of someone? Did he do it?
But none of these shooters did any in the name of Trump, bro.
The one who
Trump's name was mentioned in a manifesto. He is not the root cause of this guy's behavior.
This dude has a gun spelled out Trump's name in with all of his guns.
Again, because we live in a society where everything is focused on social media and attention. He did that shit, right? 50 years ago, or even 15 years ago, because social media.
You can't compare 50 years ago to now.
15 years ago.
You can't compare 15 years ago to now. 15 years ago, there was no Twitter.
But that's my point. If a loser in his basement spelled out Hitler, with we wouldn't be a conversation about it. The point is, the root cause is hate, ignorance.
Okay.
That's what we need to attack. Fuck who is sitting in the White House. Because Obama was sitting in the White House, we had the same behavior. We had the same type of shooting. We
didn't have people killing on behalf because Trump said...
Bro, we had people shooting up fucking theaters.
Remember how I told you how this started? I told you the guy drove 600 and something miles to the nearest border to stop Mexicans from coming across the border. Why did he do that?
Okay, so Trump also incited the Quebec shooting with the mosque.
You can blame it on the CQ trying to ban. We have a Muslim ban right now for Bill 121.
We don't have a Muslim ban. It's exaggerated.
Okay, but who does it affect? Who does it only affect?
It affects someone who expressed their religious symbols outwardly. Yes, I get it.
In the public sector.
In the public sector. How many times have you gone to a public sector area? Let's be honest. The license board, Medicare, or the bus. How many bus drivers have you ever taken and she was a hijabi?
Actually, 4. And I know by heart. I swear to God, 4.
4. And how many times, comparative to how many bus driver they are? Like, to me, I think it's ridiculous that we're doing it. I'm not saying it's right.
Yeah.
I think it's ridiculous. But again, it's like these small things, these microaggressive things that society like to put it on. Oh, it's a Muslim ban. Yes, it affects Muslim women I agree.
Specifically, but it's specifically targeting a segment, a population, a cultural community specifically.
So
in the case,
so do you know that if you had a Jewish bus driver, he couldn't wear a kippah?
he
But
couldn't-
how many bus drivers do we have that are Jewish, that are Orthodox Jew that wear a kippah?
not a lot. We have probably none, in fact. And my point is the fact that you have a band like this, and you know that it's majority Muslims who have headscarf and stuff. You know it's majority Muslim women who work in schools like that, and you know because
Bro, we went to Kotsanuk High School. How many Muslim teachers do we have?
I've had 1, 2.
2? You didn't have no 2, 3, bro. I only know of one, and she was my secondary 2 math teacher, and she was there for a few months. That was it. I've never had a hijabi teacher, even in elementary school.
We had 4 in St. Luke that I know
Who?
of.
Name them.
Oh, Jesus, it's been like what, 10?
What
10
subject did they
years.
teach? I'm trying to remember, because maybe I'm just
Science physique.
okay. That's okay. You're right. She was one. Which was she a hijabi?
French.
I remember that French teacher.
I'm not sure if it's history or the other thing.
Most women who are Muslim and work in the public sector do not wear the hijab.
Or teachers.
Bro, we went to our high school.
But I'm not just. But you see, you're bringing it down to a different level, and this is.
But that's
your
where
experience. This is probably your experience, and I understand that this is your thing. But you have to think about elementary school. You have to think about daycare, because daycare there are a lot of Muslim women who do wear the
headscarf.
The headscarves,
Right.
who actually and who have a legitimate business doing this,
Right.
and that's who it's going to affect. And I'm not, and this is the thing in this whole conversation that we're talking about.
Right.
You're specifically targeting people that you know that you don't like and who it's going to affect, and you're inciting evil because of the way. Like, first of all, why would you say, we need to protect our, in Quebec, in the case of Quebec, we need to protect our culture, this is why we're coming up with this ban. All these, this whole ban, Bill 21 thing, the majority affects Muslim, and because you're really not going to tell a doctor, there's a lot of Jewish doctors, sorry, but that's what it is.
Right.
That's not going to affect them.
Of course it will. If they were a keeper, they're not supposed to have it on.
Then they're going to leave, and then what are you going to do? That's why they said they're not dealing with that with hospitals anymore. The hospitals you can wear it. The hospitals you can wear it. That's the thing. You can wear it in the hospitals.
Right.
The Jewish hospital. Really? Are you going to tell someone that they can't wear?
Are they subsidized by government?
Huh?
Are they heavily subsidized by government?
I'm not sure if they're subsidized.
But there you go. So if they're not subsidized by government, they're not going to be impacted by that law. Period.
They could be subsidized by the government.
But they're not going to, if they're not subsidized by government money doesn't run the Jewish General Hospital.
It goes into the hospital.
I'm sure at a certain level, but it's not. The Jewish General Hospital, you could believe it, does not run solely on government funding.
But again, who is the ban specific? Who is the ban targeting then?
The point, what I'm trying to get to.
See, once you start peeling back.
I get what you're saying, but I'll give you another example. Right now, they're passing a ban in Quebec to deregularize the taxi industry.
Yeah.
Who the fuck does it affect? Majority immigrants. No one's saying shit because it's not of a. It affect mostly immigrants. If you go in the east, it's all Haitians.
Yeah.
And Arabs.
Yeah.
If you go in the west, it's all Arabs and very few white people are affected in like Côte Vertu and Saint Laurent. It's a lot of Indians, right? These people are getting affected, and it's affecting a larger group of people.
Okay.
Right? But that's not up for discussion. We overly hype these things for whatever reason. I'm not saying it's right. I'm completely against that ban. I think it's ignorant. I think it's stupid. What I'm saying, however, is that we put so much energy behind we put reactive energy behind these things, and we're not finding solutions. It's easy to discuss a problem. Give me a solution to it.
No, I understand what you're saying.
And that's where I'm coming from a very basic basic solution. I don't give a fuck if Donald Trump is in the president. He's not the root cause, and therefore he's a problem. Let's not focus on the problem. Let's focus on a solution. And the solution is education. That's what I'm saying. We're focusing on Donald Trump being a cause of it. I don't care about the cause, because the cause is not going to do nothing. All it does is waste your breath, energy in discussing the cause, and the issue is still there.
All right.
You get what I'm saying?
I understand what you mean, and I agree with some of your stuff. I guess I agree with some of your things. I don't agree with all of the things that you're saying, but like I said,
shout out to my sister, bro. She's listening.
your sister listening.
I normally don't swear, and now
Stop
she's
dropping the F word. You can tell your mom you can get beat. Watch, it's gonna happen.
I'm a grown man, Jason. You know this.
Please, you're gonna go home to your mom's house and just ask for food right now. What are you talking about?
I know I gotta get food, but she gonna put me on a food ban.
Yeah.
No, but it's true. Like, I really think, like, as a society, we need to really focus on root cause of issues, and we need to focus on education, and not just like academic education, but like systematic. We see there's a problem. It's not about, like, I hate the idea that people need to be like, oh, we need to fix the system. We don't need to fix the system. We need to replace the system.
Mm-hmm.
The system is functioning for the way it was designed. You know what I mean? And that's what we need to change.
You're saying we have to make a new country, like,
well, a new country. We need to make a whole overhaul of this system. Like, even if you think here in Quebec, like, a lot of people complain. I hear a lot of people complain. Oh, like, honestly, like the language stuff. But we don't look at how Quebec was set up. You get what I'm saying? In comparative to other provinces, Quebec has almost a sovereign right to dictate certain things. That's why you don't see Ottawa intervening on half of the stuff that they're doing, because they do have that a certain leeway to do these things.
That's a bigger conversation for another day. I can get into that for like a couple of hours.
We
if you
could.
Want to,
we definitely could get into that conversation.
That's a big but I'll leave that for another day, because Quebec, because of the nature of how it is,
right,
and how it is now, it's two completely different things. And I'll just talk to this really quickly. Back when they had this whole separation thing like that,
right?
It never happened, thank God.
Clearly,
but they failed twice. The problem with that is because a lot of people, and when I say ignorant, I mean ignorant to the fact that they weren't aware or didn't know of what's going on. So you have now in 2020 people who are more educated, people who are more free thinking, people who want to be people who actually want to have a job for their future. They understand that, listen, French is not even one of the top 10 languages in the world.
I'll debate that.
It's a fact.
It's not a fact. We have English. We were talking about most spoken by people.
Most spoken by people. French is not even top 10.
I wouldn't go as far as it's not top 10.
I can guarantee you with 100% fact it's not top 10.
What? So we're on the basis of size. We could say obviously China. We can't even say Indian, because India is not
Cantonese,
Mandarin, Punjabi, or Urdu.
Okay.
Those would be the two.
English is still the number one. English will always be number one.
Not in terms of, if you're talking about size and the number of people who speak English.
Yeah, it's English, number one. It's always been English.
Okay, so but French,
it's a business language. It's international.
But I don't think French is that far behind. What would fit between 5 and 10?
In terms of size.
Arabic,
English, Cantonese, Mandarin, Punjabi,
right? Urdu, probably one of them, because they speak in Pakistan as well.
Okay, Spanish.
Spanish is larger than French,
dude.
I'm asking you a question.
How many Spanish speaking countries are there?
How many French speaking countries are there?
Like maybe 3.
Name them.
France. Some people in Belgium.
Okay.
And maybe Algeria, maybe?
You still have...
Yeah, I said it.
What did you say?
No, people in Belgium do speak French.
But you still have Senegal. You have a lot of African nation, Congo.
All right, but it's not their primary language.
It is their primary language. It is their language, the official language they used.
What's the population of Senegal?
They're in the millions.
It's still, again...
French, but it's not lesser than
what I'm trying to. Well, I completely sidetracked.
But the point is French is a very good language to have in today's society.
In Quebec society.
No, in the world. Any second language you know is good enough for you to have.
Yeah, the more language you know, the better. That's not a problem.
But the idea to
But what I'm saying, what Quebec is that Quebec understands that it's what? Someone saying something?
I don't know. My sister just said
Africa. That's true. Africa is a whole bunch of different languages, not just one language.
But French is an official language in a lot of African countries.
Yeah, but it's like I said, it's still not top 10. And the thing with Quebec,
It is top 10.
And what I was saying with Quebec is that Quebecers realize, especially younger ones our age and stuff like that, realize that the business language of the years to come, of if we want to have work, yes, they know it's good to have French. However, they want to learn English. They want to learn Cantonese or Mandarin.
Right.
They want to learn Japanese. Everything. They want to learn everything. And Quebecers think, because they're learning all these other languages or all these languages are here, the government, like CAQ or PQ, whatever, they think that, we're going to lose French. When in terms, that's not true.
I agree with you 110%. And if you're not living in Montreal, French is your life.
What? Okay. Mandarin Chinese. With one. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Hindustani, Spanish.
Okay.
Spanish is 4th.
Right.
Arabic is 5th. Malay is 6th.
Oh yeah,
Russian
we
is
forgot
7th.
about Russian. Wow.
Bengali is 8th. Portuguese, yeah.
Oh, it's true. You do have. Thank you. So it is part of the top 10.
Just barely.
It's 10th, okay? So it's not out of the top 10. It's still there.
Okay, just barely.
Bro, how many languages are there in the world?
Huh?
How many languages are there in the world?
Like 100 and something, though.
And to be top 10, that's be part of the 1%.
Yeah, but again, you have to.
Well, yeah, because I think it's a bunch of dialects that yeah. Dialects.
So then take out French, take out the Quebecois out of the French, and see what that is.
So then you take out all those Latin countries. Take out all the Latin countries then out of Spanish and see where that goes.
It's still more than French.
No, but it's true because Dominic DR speaks a different variation of language than Puerto Rico, than Cuba.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. It would surpass France and everything like that. But my thing is that people are more educated in this world.
Absolutely.
So they understand that they want a better opportunity, better business, and this is why, again, to end this Quebec thing, is that we won't have another referendum for like another couple.
But you and I both could agree that we're not speaking. These politicians in Quebec are not speaking to people who live in Montreal and Laval, and I would go as far as saying Sherbrooke. They're speaking to en région là, Chicoutimi, Abitibi, Témiscamingue, like those places. They're not speaking to the Magog.
But you see that,
even in Magog, I'll debate that.
That's the problem I had with it when we were talking about that bill. It's
right.
Because the people in these regions,
right.
they're the ones that wanted this bill to come. How
right.
many Muslims and things do you see in Shibugamo and all that shit? How many Muslims do you see in these places? They're mostly centered in, let's face it, Montreal, Laval, South Shore,
Quebec City.
Right. And that's it. And it's like, I think that you have to, when you have rules like these, you have to be very aware of what you're doing and where you're doing it.
Right. And I agree with you.
And that's why I say it's very targeted.
It is targeted, but the funny part about it is, let's be honest, if you're in Montreal and you are a white person in Montreal and your kid been going to a daycare who was serviced by Fatima, who is a hijabi, you're not calling the feds, fam.
Why does it have to be Fatima?
Because it's a common Arabic name, bro. You're not calling the feds on Fatima. Your kid loves Fatima. Fatima treats your child very well. You're not calling the police and be like, yeah, Fatima is still wearing a hijab. You're not going to do that.
Dude, we misspelled something in English in a previous work that I had. We misspelled something in French. And I think we had left like an English word in,
right.
And they called the Office de la Langue Française. So please don't tell me about this. People won't complain.
Yeah, but who are you gonna have policing these laws?
There is an Office de la Langue Française. They're the one policing the laws,
bro. It's just the same way when they say, "Oh, you can't smoke 9 meters from a door."
This is Quebec, land of the inspectors. There's an inspector for everything.
But there's like 4 of them in the whole province.
There's an inspector for everything.
I've yet to meet someone who got a ticket for smoking 9 meters at a door. Find me that one
That's
person.
a police officer who's to that.
Police officers don't govern that law.
They have to enforce it.
They can't. Police officers cannot. It's out of their jurisdiction.
Really?
Yes.
So it's the SQ then has to govern it.
When was the last time you seen an SQ downtown?
They're only allowed on the highways.
There you go. You see? So that's what I'm saying. These type of laws are laughable because no one's going to implement them. No one's going to enforce them, rather. They can implement these stupid laws, but it's just a waste of taxpayers' dollars.
I understand. That's what I'm saying. It's useless and it's very targeted in the way of doing it because it's like...
It's targeted, but it just shows their level of ignorance. And again, this is why I'm saying we need to get to the root cause. Because if we get to the root cause of hate and ignorance, we don't have these stupid laws. And we don't have people blaming Donald Trump than saying this kid was... First of all, who is more impressionable on a 27-year-old... How old is he? 27-year-old? Right? Was he 27?
The guy?
Yeah.
I think so. Something like in
Right.
20 or 30.
Donald Trump's been president for less than 4 years. His father's probably more influential on his ass than Donald Trump. His father's probably a bigger bigot than Donald Trump.
Was his father in his life?
But I'm just even worse. You know what I'm saying? So, like, we're blaming Donald Trump for some guy. You think it's in the last 4 years he became radicalized and he wants to go shoot up Mexicans closer to the Mexican border? Like, you can't blame Trump. And I think that's what ignorant people want us to do, is to sit here and blame Trump for every bad thing happened under his presidency.
Well, no. That and I specifically said you should blame Trump for the stuff he specifically.
You don't blame
about.
Trump because these things these things exist before Trump and will exist thereafter.
Yeah, but there's also a correlation of when he says something evil happens right after he says it.
Right, so then we could correlate.
Then he says, "Oh well, I didn't have anything to do with it." But he goes on the next week and makes fun of more Mexicans, and Mexicans get beat down in the street again. He says, "I had nothing to do with it. I didn't have violence."
So then we should have the same energy with Obama. Silence. His silence incited police officers to continue. But no one's verbalizing it, right?
A lot of people do verbalize it.
No, but not to the level of where people are literally blaming Trump for a 27-year-old man who probably had hate in his heart from birth.
Okay, but you don't hear Obama saying, "Well, you know what? I'm not saying nothing because he deserves to die."
Silence is the best form of agreement. You never heard that expression?
I heard of the agreement.
And that's the whole point. Freddie Gray got his neck jammed up and he said nothing. That's the whole point. No one's persecuting him. Why? Because he sided with those in power. And this is what I'm talking about. Our society, as much as we have more access to information, we're probably the most ignorant group when it comes to certain aspect in this from a social perspective, because we do nothing with it. We have access to the information, but the media, television.
See, Matt, just what you're saying. Matt said, a bunch of people got tickets for the 9-meter rule and it's being enforced.
Yeah, because he worked at a hospital. I'm sure they're out there with all these doctors. They got the money to pay for it. But I see a bunch of people smoking downtown and no one gets these heavy fine tickets. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is these things with a president don't have that much of an influence. I think the idea that they want us to hate Donald Trump, he's an ignorant person, 100%. Does he deserve to be president? No. But again, the way the system is set up, it allows people like him who don't have the popular vote to be in there because the College of Voters, Electoral College put him there. So again, this is a systematic issue. That's another point, another thing to prove my point. The system itself needs to change completely. Right. We don't live in when did America get formed? In 16 what? In 18 what? 18 whatever. We don't live there. We need to have a 2019 model put in place where police officers are held accountable for their actions, and it's not this whole blue wall of silence. We need to have government official qualifying, just like, and again, this is not off topic, but it's funny. What do you think about that whole NCAA rule?
For the Rich Paul thing?
Rich Paul, yeah.
I think it was stupid that they tried to do something like that, but they changed it so that he can still be whatever, he can still do his agent shit.
Right.
But it's just to avoid him getting them as athletes out or even before college or something. I don't know. I think it's just
again, stupid. It's another proof that the systematic place of how system works. No one wants a system to change. Because Rich Paul is a threat to the current system.
Yeah.
Right? He is a threat. So obviously, the way these type of situation work is to neutralize the threat, right? And it's to find. I'm sure at some point it would sound ignorant, but they'll be like, "Well, you can't be a representative of an athlete if you're not over 6'2". He would be eliminated because he's not that tall." You know what I mean? But it's this ignorance behind it. That's my point. These people who have power don't want to relinquish their power, so they will find anything else to blame
I understand.
for us to be deflected and
I get what you mean.
not look at the root cause.
On a side note, remember when we were in college and we were starting, not African Legacy, but we were starting the
Urban lifestyle?
Urban Lifestyle.
Right.
And we had to create bylaws of you have to be a certain height to get into the club. And it was Jamali's idea to come up with this because it was
funny.
Because he didn't want certain people to join the club. That
was what I'm outside of weight category. Is that what you're trying to get to?
No, the height thing I'm talking about.
I know what you're trying to get to, but if I was trying to really eliminate people, I'd have a weight part to it, right?
There was no weight part to it. That's my point. That's my whole point.
That was a joke, first of all, in that discussion.
That's not a joke. We had to actually write that. And
people wrote that in the bylaw because we're being ignorant.
We had to come. No, Tyler, if you know, in the clubs in Dawson, you have to come up with certain bylaws in order to like establish yourself as a club. So
I don't remember that though. I don't remember.
PJ would remember it. You have to have a certain height. You have to be a certain height to join the club. You have to have a certain stand. A whole bunch of shit. But it was the most ridiculous. And he came up with the height thing.
It was done as a joke.
It wasn't a joke because the reason why we started...
I'm going to go find those bylaws.
Why you want to finish the story? The reason why we started Urban Lifestyle and we didn't go to African Legacy is because there was a whole feud with certain people of a certain height that didn't want us to go to African Legacy. So we started Urban Lifestyle and because we were doing so good, we were like the best shit. We didn't want them to join us, so we came up with the bylaws for them to say, you can't join this stuff no more. And Jamal came up with the hype because he was angry at those people too.
I wasn't angry.
Dude, you're angry, dog. I remember that if it's one thing from Dawson that was the funniest shit ever, that was one of those things. I was like, what the fuck is this height thing for?
I don't remember that being a height thing.
I remember it perfectly, dog. It was
Bro,
hilarious.
there was other things in other bylaws.
There's other things too, but that was one of the funniest I remember.
I think if it was ever mentioned by me, it was mentioned as a joke, and I didn't know they took it literally and wrote it down. That's not my problem.
All right,
but yeah, but like the whole thing is really that. Like the Rich Paul thing, I think is again, it's another way you can see where people feel like their power is in danger. And they have to come up with rules or things to set. Because, I mean, Rich Paul is, if it's anything, all those, what do you call them, agents, all have college degrees, but yet all the athletes they represent are broke after 4 years. So what good is their fucking college degree?
I'm the type of person that I would be like, listen, I don't need an agent. I need an education so I can do this shit myself.
And that's what Rich Paul is offering.
Yeah. and so
that's where it becomes dangerous.
Yeah. And because if students actually learn stuff in school instead of playing sport, that's when it becomes a problem.
But look at the people Rich Paul represent. They're the highest paid athletes in the NBA.
LeBron James and stuff like that.
LeBron James.
But that rule only applied to basketball too. So that's why there was a lot of... It didn't apply to
any other sports.
It applied to basketball.
Well, how many black football...
football players? Is a lot of black.
No. Agents out there that's making the impact that Rich Paul's doing in the NBA.
I think the top agent.
By the way, I think Rich Paul do represent some football players.
He does represent some football, but I think like the top agent in NFL is black. I think he is.
Really?
I think so.
I would hope so.
I think he is. Who does he represent?
And this is not about a black and white thing. I think what the model Rich Paul adapt in educating these guys on how money works, investment, and all these different things, giving back to the communities and enriching the life of those that where they come from. I think that's the way it should work.
Yeah, you're right.
And it's not about race. And I'm sure there's very great white. If you watch, I don't even think it was 30 for 30, but there is a documentary where Magic Johnson was talking about why he stayed a Laker. Well, not why he stayed a Laker, but why he loved the fact that he was a Laker. How Dr. Buss took him under his wings
and how to do business
and all that. And that Dr. Buss is a white guy, right? So it's not a race thing. It's not like, oh, they're trying to marginalize black people. I think the system is they want these kids coming out of college, taking these bogus deals, not making money, don't see themselves as a business or an entity, and then bussing after they break their leg and then they're broke.
But you know, that's what football players are doing right now. That's what like Le'Veon Bell. That's why he said it all last season, because he was like, listen, I'm not going to keep running my head into a wall and you guys are not paying me for health insurance.
But there you go. And now I'm worth. But isn't Ezekiel doing the same thing right now?
That's what he's doing right now. He's not playing because he knows he got the top. He out of the past 3 years, he was twice the rushing leader. He was like, listen, I'm not going to keep rushing my head into a wall.
You know what I mean?
If you guys don't pay me what I'm worth. And he is worth all his money. Dallas should pay him.
Of course.
I heard Dak Prescott was asking for $40 million a year. Fuck that shit. I don't care who you are. If Aaron Rodgers can't get that money, you're not getting that money.
That's I mean, I'm not here to discuss rich people problem.
Yeah, but let's just end out that segment because we understand where it is. Rich Paul's doing a good thing. He's educating people.
Oh, for sure.
Which is what you should do.
I think the NCAA, if they really want to worry about something, it should be paying the athletes from their $1 billion industry that these athletes are, all these rich people are getting wealthy off these kids.
That's why their parents, if I was their parents, I'd be like, I would incorporate them saying, if you use my likeness on TV or anything else and who goes to a big school,
well, you got to sign. No, but you got to sign. That's the thing. The law doesn't work that way because for you to, that's why LeBron James couldn't have gone to college. Whether he was smart enough to pass an SAT, because he had the Nike deal. He would have to relinquish his Nike deal in order to
I was like, fuck that.
$90 million? Bro, I'm cooling over here. I'll go play in Europe and I'll still be the best player there is.
All right. Let's talk about something on a more lighter note.
What? Music? You didn't listen to...
Well, I didn't hear it, but you told me, Port of Miami?
Port of Miami 2, a classic.
The biggest boss, Ricky Ross.
Oh, for sure. Rick Ross is the biggest boss.
Boss.
I think it's a beautiful body of work. I love the Nipsey record. I like the Meek Mill verse on Bogus Charms.
I heard there was this verse that they left off of Pusha T.
Yeah.
And I heard the Pusha T verse is fire. It killed it.
And Rick Ross never disputed it. He still has the record.
I don't know why he didn't put it on it though.
Because his goal, if you watch his interview, he clearly stipulates before the record came out, they asked him about it, like, oh, we heard there's a song with Wayne and Pusha T.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, the purpose of this record is really to have a conversation with these two guys to squash what's going on and Ray. And he said after the album dropped and people realized that there's no Wayne verse, there is a Wayne verse, but there's no Pusha verse. He said that he doesn't think it's the right moment. So it's Volt. For sure, it's going to come out. It's going to get released.
Then why put on the Wayne verse and not the Pusha T verse?
Because Wayne,
I would say leave out Wayne's verse.
Wayne and you got to understand the level of friendship Wayne and Ross has, and I think it went out of that. It went from that perspective. It wasn't who had. I think both their verses are good. I didn't happen to hear the Pusha T, but Pusha T has always been a great lyricist.
It's nice stuff. It's nice.
I'm not surprised, but I think what he's doing is good for hip hop, and I think we need to obviously feud less and work more together. And I'm sure in some way there's going to probably be, because the whole beef now is with Drake, Kanye, because Kanye and Drake has beef, and Wayne and Pusher. I think that whole thing needs to sit down, and that's what Rick Ross was saying, and squash, and that's why he didn't put the verse out.
I don't know. Well,
I'm just mad there's not a Jay-Z verse. I think Jay-Z's verse, there should be a remix for Bogus Charms, and I think Jay-Z should go crazy on it.
I know. Congrats to Rick Ross. That album should do good.
Oh yeah, I mean,
when you have artists like when you have Rick Ross coming out, when you have like even a Jadakiss, I still think that Freddie versus Jason.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's a great
Friday
body of work.
That Friday the 13th album is one of the, in the last 10 years, one of the best albums I've ever heard.
Oh, it is.
One
hands
of the best
down.
albums I've heard with Jadakiss and Fabulous.
And I think
one of the best albums ever.
I think the energy on the album matters. For me, cohesiveness on an album is the key.
Yeah.
If I could listen to an album without skipping, then it's a great body.
That's
of
why
work.
I was so pissed when I Can't Feel My Face with Wayne and Jewels didn't come out. That would have been ridiculous. I know it's like 10 years late.
12, 15.
But because Jewel's Place got raided when they were doing that stuff. But
but it was also an issue with Birdman and Def Jam.
Oh yeah, Birdman is bullshit. But that would, and the thing is, when they used to feature on each other's tracks, you could tell. It was
they had a good synergy between them.
And it's like even when Jeezy, I haven't heard Jeezy in a while, but I want him to come out with something.
But Jeezy's on Rick Ross album.
That's the thing I've heard. He's good on it.
Amazing. I'm telling you, the whole album is, I think, front to back is probably one of the best to come out this year.
Yeah.
I really do think it's gonna.
If it does hot, man, I'm gonna like. I'll.
Jamali's so angry, so I believe you, Jason. Really, Matthew, you were there when the whole thing got created. You really think I had that? If there was a height, you would be the one to be out. You would have to be under 6'2" to be part of the crew.
There wasn't I don't think there was a maximum height set. I know there's a minimum height set.
It was a joke, bro.
That was no joke.
It was a joke. You guys took it too literal. And you guys act like I was the one. Don't forget, PJ had beef with African Legacy because he wasn't allowed to go to the Miami trip.
We all had beef with
So
them.
then don't put it as a Jamali thing.
But you came up with the
Because
idea.
everybody, first of all, this was a whole joke, bro. You're making it seem more than what it is.
I'm just telling you what I remember from
It's not like I hate midgets. So it's like, it's not like I had a midget law. Like, what are you coming out with?
They prefer little people.
Whatever.
No, but that was one of the most hilarious things. But no, congrats to Ross, man. If I'll pay money for.
I think you should. I think it's a worth to listen to. It just sucks that
He's
you know.
on Spotify.
Oh, for sure.
They're not gonna
I think it just sucks that he's not coming to Montreal. He's going to Toronto and Vancouver.
He's skipping Montreal completely.
Of course, Montreal always get looked over, bro.
That sucks.
Yeah, he's putting the Port of Miami tour too.
That means people have to go. Oh my goodness!
I'm not going to Toronto. I don't even like going to concert. I don't like crowds. You know this already.
Damn.
But it would be a great. I mean, if I had money, I'd pay him to come here.
I wouldn't necessarily pay to go see Rick Ross, but it'd be nice to have Rick Ross come to Montreal. I know he's been here before.
Oh, for sure.
I know he's been here before, but why would he skip Montreal as a tour though?
I don't know why they always do that. Everybody like on the run skip Montreal.
It's probably what do you call that?
But
Evenco.
no, they all run through Live Nation.
But it's probably Evenco that's giving them the problem.
But Live Nation run through them.
But it's probably what I'm saying is Evenco is probably asking for too much money to rent out the Bell Center.
But doesn't Live Nation and Evenco, all these guys, this group CH work together? Because I think Live Nation is there's something to do with Live Nation.
I don't think Live Nation has anything to do with Evenco.
Bro, but
Remember,
but they can go to Place Bell.
It's Jeff Molson.
If the Bell Center's too big, they could go to Place Bell. It's in Laval.
I think they still own
They own it too, but
Evenco.
I mean, go to a smaller venue.
Nah, they would want a big venue. Why go to a small venue in Montreal when you could sell ACC 3 or 4 nights in a row in Toronto? You can get 40, 50,000 people to go see
50,000,
40,000. Let's say 40,000 people to go see.
Isn't the capacity smaller? Montreal's bigger than Toronto. No, the Montreal's the Bell Center, or no?
ACC? No way. Toronto's percentage bigger than Montreal.
But I don't know. It just sucks that Montreal's get skipped over when it comes to major tours.
All right, let's wrap this up. Tyler, what's the time? Wrap up time? Okay.
We'll shout out Tyler's Cleveland Browns for playing a good preseason. Their first game was okay.
They actually won a game?
I think they did.
That's only preseason. No one cares. Perfect.
Oh, please.
You guys are going to get blown out by like 50-0 opening night or something like that.
I don't think so.
That's Cleveland Browns' way, man. It's Cleveland Browns' way.
No. It's a new team. Cleveland Browns my second team now.
You too?
I'm jumping the back. New York would forever be number one.
Really?
You're damn right. I just feel bad. If it was possible, why am I drawing a blank on
Eli?
on a running back? Saquon? I would fucking like break my leg or something because he's gonna get banged up all season.
The O-line is garbage.
The O-line's garbage. There's no offensive threat but him. It's gonna be crazy though. The abuse that boy body's gonna get.
You guys have Eli. Don't you have Eli?
Bro, get out of here. You still have Phillip Rivers, bro.
But I'm talking about Eli. We're not talking about Chargers. We're talking about the Giants now.
Yeah, we still got Eli.
So what do you think Eli's going to give you this season?
A pick six. Couple pick six.
Jesus.
I mean, it is what it is, man. Eli's still the QB. You can't hate Eli.
I think he's going to be benched in like the 3rd or 4th game of the season. I think that.
I don't think that's a bad idea.
Then after his career is done, he's going to retire.
But I think
he would retire before backing up someone else. And the only reason he did it last time was at the end of the season because he was like, all right, whatever.
I think they should have got rid of him before they got rid of Copeland or whatever.
They should have got rid of they should have got rid of the O-line. They should have blown that shit up while Coughlin was there. Because he even knew what the problem was. I remember when Coughlin, the last press conference, he just walked by the owner, didn't even shake his hand, nothing.
Oh, for sure.
That's how Coughlin is.
Coughlin got them 2 rings, though. But you know the thing is, when you threaten Copland's job, he gets your ring.
Yeah, that season where they start off 0-4 and they won.
Yeah,
People were calling him.
His job was on the line. This guy went out and delivered a championship.
He won a ring there. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining in for another beautiful week.
It was a good episode.
Yeah, it was a good episode. As I said before, the episodes, it'll be on every Tuesday from now on. So the lives will be on Tuesday, and the episodes will drop most likely Wednesday, middle of the week. Yeah, thank you, everyone. Go listen to some of our podcasts on the Upfront Network. Some good podcasts there. We're part of that network. Glad to be a part of it. We should get some guests from the other shows too to come on. It'll be a good, interesting to see different perspective. I tell you, all walks of life. So, shout out to the Upfront Network and everyone doing their thing. And Jamali, do you have any final thoughts that you want to bring apart to this conversation?
Oh man, like I always say, man, love is love. Spread love, not hate. And be kind to one another, bro. That's the most important thing.
All right, that's it. Nothing else. All right, everyone. I have nothing much to say. I said everything there is to say. So have a beautiful week, and we will see you all next week, Tuesday. Peace.
Peace.